Sony WH1000XM4,
Sony WH1000XM3s,
Sennheiser PXC 550ii,
and the Sennheiser Momentum 3s. This is the Sonys
versus the Sennys.
DHRME, made-up acronym, real conversations. Even though the Sony XM4s came out in 2020 and the other headphones from previous years, you might be surprised that newer isn't always better. We're going to be comparing these four headphones across audio quality, build quality, call quality, design, and extra features.
That's right, we love our ABCDEs, and if you like him too, smash that like button or just caress the like button.
Alright guys, starting off with B for build quality and comfort. Well, if we start with the Sony XM3s, they creak louder than a frog.
I think you mean croak. Frogs don't creak.
Whatever, the XM3s creak louder than Rohan's funny bones. Apart from that, the padding seems to wear out quite easily as well, if the XM2s are any indication of what that's going to be like. And the ear cups do tend to get hot around the ears, and you will feel them pressing against your ears. So Sony did improve a couple of these things with the XM4s, like having more room in the ear cups and overall less heat generation, and no croaking so far. But these are all incrementally better compared to the XM3s.
If you look at the Sennheiser Momentum 3s, they're made of premium metal and leather, and they smell so good when they get out of the box. I think they're the best smelling ANC headphones that we've ever tested. And the leather ear cups serve another function except for the beautiful smell. They're also really soft and plush around your ears, so they're very comfortable. But the all-metal design does mean that they are a bit heavier and the clamp is a bit tougher around your ear. The Sennheiser PXC 550iis take the cake in this category as they're surprisingly light despite its mostly plastic build with metal around the headband. The lightness is felt with the egg-shaped ear cups hugging your ears and produce the least heat and pressure around the ears. Alright Kevin, build quality, let's rate them.
Cool. So, number one, Momentum 3s for sure. Metal, genuine leather, hard plastic, looks great, built like a tank. Second place, I'd give it to the Sony XM4s. Yeah. They've really done a great job now in this edition compared to the XM3s, so no croaking, right? Third place would go to the PXCs, very lightly built with mostly plastic, a little bit of metal, but no creak on this one either. The last would really go to the XM3s, loads of creak, so not really built that well. What would you say in terms of comfort?
For comfort, I think these bad boys are super comfortable. The cups around your ears feel good. They are the lightest of the bunch. In terms of heat management, they do generate some heat around the ears, but not as bad as the rest. These are very comfortable for their weight and their build, but at the end of the day, their weight really shows. They press down on the crown. So I would actually rate the XM4s ahead of the Momentums just for the overall weight, but the ear cups feel more comfortable on the Momentums. And the XM3s probably are the lowest of the bunch. Again, they're not super uncomfortable.
And the XM3s also have a bit less space in the ear cups, at least that's...
Number one PXC, number two Momentum 3s, a close tie with the XM4s, and then you have the XM3s.
Yeah. So chances are quite strong that you may use ANC headphones to take a few phone calls. If you want our detailed take on how microphone quality fares in different environmental conditions, then check out this video, which we put up here and in the description down below.
But here's a condensed version. Do not buy the Sennheiser Momentum 3s or the XM3s if you plan to make phone calls. Just don't. The person on the other end of your phone call may never call you again if you do. Both of these headphones have low volume and unimpressive voice clarity, and that's just in quiet environments. Because once you're in a noisy or windy environment, they do even worse. You'd be safe to use the Sony XM4s if you're in a quiet environment, but don't go crazier than that. For that, you're gonna need the Fuck Month Special, the Sennheiser PXC 550iis.
So the PXC 550s fare great in all the environmental conditions, and we'd suggest turning on the call enhancement feature and changing the middle ANC setting from adaptive to anti-wind. Both these settings can be found in the app. And this will make a noticeable difference in windy conditions. Not so much if you're in a quiet or a noisy environment. The original PXCs were marketed towards business travelers, and looking at how competitors are prioritizing phone calls, We're glad to see that version 2 of the PXCs still do great in this department. Well done, Sennheiser. It's just a shame that the Momentum 3s feel like they were designed and built by a totally different company.
All right, fuckman, let's rate them.
Right. So I think it's pretty clear the PXC 552s, again, win over here in this category. I think second place would go to the Sony XM4s. I think they've really stepped up their game a little bit. Not really, but in quiet conditions, they're usable. And then the XM3s, yeah, you really wouldn't use them, but if you were to use them, third place. And the last is the Momentum 3s. All right, Rowan, I think the tables really turned when it comes to design because the Momentum 3s really outshine the others.
Yeah, they look, I mean, look at these and look at these. You're wearing eggs on your heads. It's like a big difference. So yeah, the Momentum 3s are for the good looking ones of us.
You look at these compared to the others, it's really got that, I don't know, kind of retro, hipster kind of look to it, which is quite nice. It really stands out from typical headphones that you see on the market.
Yeah, I think the Sonys can be categorized as safe, right? Very staid, very plain, very understated. They don't stand out in any particular way.
So I think it kind of depends what you're looking for. If you want to make kind of a statement and you want to be out there, the Momentums are great.
Yeah.
But if you want to just like fly under the radar and almost be unseen or unnoticed, then the Sonys are perfect.
Yeah, and if you want to be noticed in a really bad way, you can use the PXC 550s because...
I disagree. I think they look pretty cool. They look, I don't know, that whole... I know the XM3s can be, and the XM4s can come in all black, but it's quite, I don't know, it's less bulky, it's got a slim profile, it's all black.
So the eggs go with the ducktail is what you're saying.
All right, I'm wearing duck eggs.
Yeah.
I like duck eggs.
Yeah, if you have to rate them, I think we are unanimous that Momentums are number one.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think, they're pretty much
the others,
the rest of them.
Yeah.
So now design is not just about how they look, but also how you can use them, how you interact with these devices.
Right.
And the Sonys are all touch surface, right? There's all volume controls on the right-hand side. Yeah. And there's a couple of buttons, as opposed to...
Yeah, as opposed to the Momentum 3s, because they do not do any touching. They're all about buttons. So that's kind of where the whole retro feel comes in as well. Just good old clicky buttons, which there's nothing wrong with actually. When you look at the PXC 552s, again, quite similar like the Sonys, right?
Yeah.
Touch surface. Does come with a button and a toggle for noise cancelling instead of a button.
And of course, the advantage of the hardware toggle for noise cancelling is it stays on that same setting till you move it. So every time you switch it on, it remembers your last noise cancelling setting. And that's a really nice extra to have. E for extras.
There we are. So when we look at the extra features that these headphones come with, I think we can put them into kind of two themes.
Yeah.
You've got the Sonys, very, very feature rich in terms of things like speak to chat, which is the feature where the XM4s can recognize when you're trying to speak to someone and it'll pause the audio, let in ambient sounds, and it'll resume after a while or when you press a button. And the XM4s and the XM3s both come with quick attention, which is just you placing your hand on the ear cup and again does the same thing. But you have also, sound position control on the XM3s. You have a couple of those things where it can recalibrate depending on your ears and whether you're wearing glasses or not, and whether you're walking, running, sitting, all of that. So it comes with a lot of those kinds of things. Whereas
on the Sennheiser side, I think they're more about usability and designing the hardware according to that as well.
Yeah.
So you just twist the ear cups and they're off for both the Sennheiser Momentums and the PXC 550. So this turns it off. So that's a really useful feature because you use that every day, right? And one feature that all these headphones except the XM3s share is auto pause. So the headphones detect when you're not wearing the headphones and then they pause your music. But that doesn't work so well on the Sennheisers for whatever reason. It seems like an older implementation. When you move your head, they pause. And it gives you a lot of false pauses as well. Well, at least compared to the XM4, because the XM4s have an inbuilt sensor, and for me it's worked 100% of the time, and I really like features that work like that. Although you may see videos on YouTube comparing these headphones saying they all have smart pause, how they work is just as important. And we spend a lot of time testing these, and the XM4s have been flawless so far.
Yes, absolutely agree. I actually ended up turning off smart pause in the app for the Sennheisers entirely, which is a good thing that they allow you to switch it off. Another extra feature that most headphones should have, especially looking at the Sennheisers, which are a bit older, is multi-device compatibility. These came with it and they work. You just pause on one device and play on the other and they work. The XM3s, even though they might be equally old as the Sennheisers, they really didn't come with it. The XM2s didn't, the MDR1000X didn't, the XM4s finally did. And it works well too here, just similar to the Sennheisers.
So the thing about these headphones is they all have these ANC features, right? Like you can switch different modes. But these are the headphones, the Sennheisers, both of these, that actually remember your last setting. Whereas the Sonys always start with, boom, full noise cancelling mode. And then you have to switch to your custom setting by pressing a button. Not a big deal, but it just is a little less in terms of customizing. What it does remember, and what all these headphones do remember, is the equalizer settings. And I think that's a great moment to go into the audio quality of these headphones, because the Sonys have a 5-band equalizer and it remembers the settings after you turn them off as well. And these don't have a 5-band equalizer, do they? They have a 3-band, and they have this strange kind of, like there's a 3-band equalizer and then there's another setting, it's a waveform thing, which is actually quite useful, but it's not the same as a 5-band graphic equalizer. So that's the first thing about sound quality we want to talk about. Now, EQ is one aspect, but sound is a much broader topic, right? Like, let's start with the basics. All of these are wireless headphones, so you can listen to music wirelessly. And what does that mean? They all use particular codecs to encode that music. Out of these, the highest quality codec that is available is on the XM4s for LDAC, but not all devices support LDAC. A lot of Sony devices do, and a lot of Android devices do as well, but it's a less supported codec compared to the more popular aptX and aptX HD. And the Sennheisers do support aptX and aptX low latency. So that's a positive if you have an Android device or something like that, because on Apple devices, all devices support only AAC. So that's a level playing field here. But that's the codecs for wireless. You can also use these headphones wired. So the Sennheisers, you can use wired with the USB cable. So you can connect it to a digital audio source, and it has an inbuilt digital to analog converter or DAC on the headphones, and you can just listen to music like that. So that is a very nice feature that they offer. They all offer, of course, the analog output, whereas on the Sennheisers you get a 2.5 input, 2.5 millimeter to 3.5, and on the Sonys you get a 3.5 to 3.5. While that is a difference, it's not that big. The main thing is on the Sennheisers, they don't have a regular 2.5. You have a 2.5 inch which plugs in, and then you have to twist it to lock. It's a nice feature to have. Yeah, I'm losing my voice. But anyway, talking about voice and vocals, let's look at the mid performance on all these headphones. I thought the vocals stood out a little less on the Momentum 3s compared to the XM4s and XM3s on balanced tracks with a lot of instruments. But if you have a vocal track like Marianne Hill's Breathe Into Me, there's a lot of bass and vocals there. And there the vocals do sound a bit more distinct in the bass than compared on the Sonys. Overall, I think the Sonys and the Momentum 3s have a very similar sound signature. I think the Sonys might be a tad bass heavier, and the soundstage may be a bit wider on the Momentum 3s. But other than that, I didn't find them to be very different. They're very similar kind of, consumer-friendly sound signature. And it's not just the bass extension that's better on the XM3s compared to the Momentums, but also the treble extension. So on both ends of the spectrum, you do get a little more to play with. I'm putting the XM3s and the XM4s in the same bucket because for me, they sound very, very similar. Whereas the PXCs, you could argue, are a bit brighter, but in general, flatter than any of these. So these are for the more critical listener, I suppose. It's wireless at the end of the day, so it's not going to give you the same fidelity as a wired headphones, but these are flatter compared to the rest of the headphones. And in terms of max volume, I think the Sonys are the loudest. I can never go past 75-80% on them. I mean, I could, but it's not enjoyable anymore. The Momentums are a little less loud, and PXCs for me were the least loud. I could listen to them at 100% without any kind of blood coming out of my ears. So the second part of audio We talked about sound quality. Let's talk about the noise cancelling, which is probably why you're buying these headphones.
Yeah. So when we talk about ANC headphones, what we've done is we've done a test in... Are you scratching your head all the time? All right. So looking at the active noise cancelling of these headphones, we've tested these in a simulated environment where we had cafe sounds in the background, and we did one which simulated airplane cabin noise. And what we saw there was that there was a clear distinction between the Sonys and the Sennheisers. The Sonys are really up there as in tier A level active noise cancelling in both conditions. The XM4s were a tad bit better than the XM3s that we did notice in both of these environments, more so in the airplane cabin noises. Whereas when we look at the Sennheisers, the Momentum 3s really rank the lowest if you compare them to the four of these. Yeah. And the PXCs got pretty close. Actually, they were similar to the XM3s in the airplane cabin simulation. But they did do worse in the cafe noise. But if you want to see a detailed comparison of the active noise cancelling of these headphones and a couple of others, then check out the link put up here and down below in the description where we go in detailed.
Yeah, the one thing about the PXC 550 that I didn't love is they're not very heavy with the clamp, so that has its upsides while being more comfortable. The downside is, of course, they don't seal your ears as well. So what happens is when you move your head around, you tend to hear sound coming in.
And all of these headphones come with transparency mode. Basically, if you're in noise cancelling, but you quickly need to be able to hear your surroundings or be able to talk to someone. The Sonys, they come with quick attention, which is tap the ear cup, like we mentioned, and lets in sounds, or the XM4s with speak to chat. However, on the Sennheisers, we've got transparency mode in slightly different ways. The Momentum 3s have a toggle which you just flip down once and then you're in transparency mode. Whereas on the PXC 550s, it's a double tap on the ear cup and then you're in transparency mode.
Important to know that the transparency mode on the PXCs, you cannot listen to music with transparency mode on, whereas with the rest of them you can. So that's kind of a miss from Sennheiser.
Along with transparency mode as a toggle, what the Sennheisers also have in the app is an anti-wind option, which is really useful, again, windy conditions, right? For not only listening to your audio better, but also to do phone calls. Apart from that, there's also something called anti-pressure mode on the Momentum 3s, which alleviates a little bit of the pressure that's usually created by wearing active noise cancelling headphones. And in addition to that, the Sonys in the app come with geo-based active noise cancelling. So depending on where you are, it can automatically set a different ANC profile. So if you're at the office, you might want to have less ANC. Whereas if you're in public transport, maybe you want to crank that up. All right, guys. So what does all this real conversation mean to you and what should you get? Well, that really depends. So let us walk you through to buy or not to buy. Well, you should buy the Sennheiser PXC 550ii if you plan to wear these headphones for long periods of time, then these will be extremely light and comfortable. If you want an easy mechanism to turn on and off headphones, then the twisting ear cups mechanism is definitely going to be useful. If you plan to make a lot of phone calls, then the PXC 550s definitely give you decent phone call quality. If you want to be able to save some money and not opt for all those other flagships in the market, and you don't mind the parts bin design, then the PXC 550s are definitely going to save you some money. If you don't mind not being on the cutting edge of technology and you're okay with using the old school micro USB charging, and if you prefer a brighter and flatter sound signature and have devices that support aptX. And finally, if you plan to use these headphones with multiple devices, then this is a good choice.
You should buy the Sony WH1000XM4. If you want the best in class active noise cancelling, you travel a lot and you need that noise to be cancelled. You want a really well-rounded pair of headphones that check almost all the boxes. You want great sounding headphones that sound balanced across different musical genres. You like having extra fancy features like speak to chat and quick attention, and you want to show off these features to your friends if you're a show-offy kind of person. If battery life is important to you, that you cannot go wrong with the XM4s. And of course, the latest addition to the XM4s. The most important reason in our view to buy it over the XM3s is that it supports dual device connection. You can connect to two devices simultaneously. And the much improved usability with things like smart pause, which actually works well every time. And also the same sensor is used to save battery life, so you don't run out of battery just because you forgot to switch them off.
You should buy the Sennheiser Momentum 3s if looks are really important to you and you want to get that hipster look on. Step 1, grow a beard. If you want premium materials and a longer lasting pair of headphones with real leather and metal. If you want an easy on-off switch by twisting the air cup. If you use your headphones mainly for music and want some ANC now and again. If you prefer the ever reliable buttons over touch controls to operate your headphones. And you use these headphones with more than one device.
And you should only buy the Sony WH1000XM3s if these are considerably lower priced than the XM4s, so you can end up saving some money. For the latest prices, check out the links in the description below. If you use those links, it supports our channel and costs you nothing extra. And still want to have Sony's best-in-class active noise cancelling and sound quality. And for an older generation, have headphones that still have a very solid and respectable battery life. If you still want to use Sony headphones with aptX and aptX HD, because this is going to be the last generation that supports it, we think. And it also has some nice little extras like sound position control and VPT, whatever. So, yeah. You've been getting your hipster on.
And we've been DHRME.